Hello, my name is Marcia Rosenquist, and I will be presenting on the work I have been doing this quarter on canopy efficiency in Douglas-fir and mixed species forests. For this class project, I am focusing on canopy cover. The prevailing idea in silviculture is that single-species stands are the most efficient way to grow trees. But is this actually the case? Are single-species stands not making use of all the light available? If two species made use of different parts of the canopy, is it more efficient to grow two species with different light requirements? There are plenty of studies that support the idea of improved yields with mixed forests, particularly supporting the idea of partitioning the light environment. Most of this research has focused on European forests with trees like Scots pine, spruce, beech, and eucalyptus. What hasn't been studied is a Douglas-fir and big-leaf maple mixture. There has been research done on managing this type of mixed species stand for non-timber objectives, but nothing really focusing on productivity or light partitioning. Since this forest type occurs all over the Pacific Northwest, I thought this would be interesting to test. Big-leaf maple is, as Greg Edel is fond of saying, a space hog. It has these enormous crowns that take up a lot of room. Douglas-fir has compact crowns that fit together like puzzle pieces. Do the giant big-leaf maple and the understory negatively affect the productivity of Douglas-fir? Or do they have compartmentalized niches, and really don't get in each other's way? The photo on the right is a pure Douglas-fir stand, and the photo on the left is a mixed Douglas-fir big-leaf maple stand. Even though this photo on the left was taken this fall after leaves had already started to turn and fall off, you can still see the maple crown hanging out in the understory. Is it affecting the productivity of these Douglas-firs at all, or is this efficient light partitioning? Can Douglas-fir and big-leaf maple mixed species stands offer a comparable level of production by efficiently using the understory canopy space? My objective is to determine, in western Washington mature forests, whether mixed species stands have greater canopy cover than single-species stands of Douglas-fir. This is part of a larger project I am working on that also includes measures of efficiency versus crown projection. For this GIS project, I am looking simply at crown area in both types of stands. My null hypothesis is that there is no difference in canopy cover in a mixed Douglas-fir big-leaf maple forest. My alternative hypothesis is that canopy cover in the mixed Douglas-fir big-leaf maple stand is higher. My study site was Lee Memorial Forest. Lee Forest is a university-owned research forest in Maltby. It was gifted to the university in the 1930s with the stipulation that it be used for research purposes only. It is 160 acres of forest completely surrounded by residential neighborhoods. It also includes a 100-meter tagged and inventoried research plot called a martelloscope. The stand I was working in is called Big Stumps, which is a Douglas-fir and mixed Douglas-fir stand, with western hemlock and big-leaf maple. It is 40.42 acres and is about 110 years old. For my larger research project, I collected data using FieldMap. FieldMap is a really neat software that can create stand maps, crown profiles and crown projections and export them directly as shape files. I collected stem location, DBH, height, crown projections, crown profiles, and 5-year growth increments for all trees, in 500 square meter plots. 2 mixed species and 2 pure Douglas-fir. The crown projection layers are the only layers I actually need to solve my question. I will calculate the total area for each of the crown polygon layers and use this to determine whether the mixed species stands have greater canopy cover than the pure Douglas-fir stands. I will also use the canopy layers to qualitatively infer whether the crown volume is greater due to the shade-tolerant species filling out a secondary canopy layer by identifying areas where the canopy overlaps. I will use the plot boundary and tree point layers to make beautiful maps. First, I added my shapefiles from Field Map. I used the Excel to Table tool to import the data fields for my layers. I will explain how to use this new tool on the next slide. I attempted to project my shapefiles, but it turns out that I collected the data without a coordinate system. But that's okay. The layers will still show me what I want to learn. I adjusted the symbology of the crown class field to clearly show where the canopy overlaps. I used statistics for the crown projection column in the attribute table to find crown areas for each of my plots. In order to import all of my species and crown size data into ArcMap, I needed to use the Excel to Table tool. This tool was super useful because my plot layers did not contain any of the data that I collected about them, such as crown class, species, or height, but I had all of this information in an Excel file. I was able to add the Excel file to my data frame as a table, and then I used join to join this new table with the attribute table for each one of my layers. To create my leaf forest maps, I added my plot center data using KML to layer. I added leaf forest stands and trails layers that I requested from Jeff Kelly. I used Project to match my plot centers to these shape files. I updated the symbology and used definition query to isolate what I needed. My results show a higher crown area in the mixed species stand, with an average crown area much higher in the mixed species stands. This supports my alternative hypothesis, though I would need to conduct further analysis to determine if this result is significant. The next two slides show my map results. The map on the left is of Lee Memorial Forest, with stand boundaries and trails. The map on the right is a big stumps plot where I was working, with our plot centers marked. These canopy projection maps show the spatial relationships of crowns in my pure Douglas-fir and mixed species plots. You can see in the pure stand that the dominant and co-dominant canopies are fitting together sort of like puzzle pieces. The blue striped is dominant, green striped is co-dominant, and the green is intermediate. The intermediate trees are almost completely under the dominant canopies. In the mixed species stand, the intermediate trees are almost all big leaf maple, with a few western hemlock. Crown area was higher in mixed species stands than in pure Douglas-fir stands. This is likely due to the light partitioning of both Douglas-fir and big leaf maple. Further testing is necessary to determine if these two species could grow together harmoniously without compromising productivity. In my larger research project, I will analyze productivity using 5-year growth increments with these crown projections to determine the efficiency of both species in both stand types. I am interested in determining if Douglas-fir is as efficient in the mixed species stand as it is in the pure stand. For future data collection, I will always make sure that I am using a coordinate system if I want to be able to use them in GIS. Thanks for a great quarter.